Hello, everybody. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, but hopefully you were able to enjoy all of the films tonight. So before we join with Jonathan, we are actually just going to really quickly bring on Winnifred. She was the director of Milk, which was the first film that you saw this evening. So if you can welcome Winnifred Jong. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Awesome. So let's just get right down to it. What inspired you to make this film?
Part of it was that there was a Canadian show called Kim's Convenience, and I was a fan of the show and I wanted to direct on it. So I ended up writing a small scene that was set in a convenience store with Asian characters. And I knew a little bit about the fact that there was multi-generations in that storyline. So I thought I'd write a scene that's a comedy that could show a little bit of the sort of style. I mean, I didn't know how the show was going to turn out, so I just wrote a little piece that spoke to me that was set in a convenience store.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it definitely captured that. I really love Kim's Convenience as well. Where did you find your actresses? They really had a really nice relationship. Even though it was so brief, we really felt that connection with them.
Great. So because it was something that I decided to try and do a scripted dialogue, scripted scene where I wanted to shoot it a documentary style. So it kept it very small. And so there was only the camera woman, and a boom operator, a sound recordist, and it was me and the actor. And so I wanted to do something very small. And since I was paying for it myself, I thought I would find a student actor. So I posted on, at the time, Mandy.com, looking for actors of both for both roles. And I found a lot of the younger actors to play the part. And then basically they sent in auditions, and I picked two that could have been potentials. And then I had lunch with both of them and at separate times, and just sort of got a sense of their experience and how we connected. And then so I chose Annabelle Loy, who plays the character Vicky. And then I couldn't find an older actress to play the grandmother, so I cast my mom.
Oh, how cute.
That's my mom, and I sort of forced her into her debut acting role. And of course, the tones and dialect is something that, I struggled with growing up. And so she was always saying, well, which tone am I saying it? And we would have these like hysterical off-camera conversations about which nai to say. Mm-hmm. So, it was like comedy on screen and comedy off screen.
That's so funny. Yeah. And I mean, I think the great thing about this short too is that you could literally be speaking the same language and still have that miscommunication. I do it all the time with my mom. So it was really funny to see that. And I really liked the beginning when she was lighting the stovetop with the lighter, because that's what my grandmother does.
Yeah.
So it just brought a nice realness to it.
Yeah.
And so what upcoming projects do you have right now that you can share with the audience?
So I just created a web series called Tokens, and it's a comedy about an on-call casting agency which sends people of color, like an Uber, to be in a role where they're often miscast. And so they're for productions that are looking for diversity, they send them out like an Uber. So, you often get miscast in this, and we talk a lot about that. So that has it's aired, and you can find it on YouTube at Tokens on Call. And I am now a director for hire on television series in Canada.
Oh, awesome. Let's see. So I know it was a really short film to produce, but were there any challenges with making the film that you ran into?
No, I think it felt really smooth. Writing is not my strong point, but because it's so, I think sometimes when you're starting out, when you write from something that's authentic and you know the situation, it becomes easier. It's not something that that feels awkward for me, and so I didn't find that many challenges. I think a lot of people came on board because it was simple,
Mm-hmm.
and so to edit it, we have a film school, and so people took it on as a project, and the composer was also in that same film school, and they just took it on as a project. And all of this was about collaboration, especially when you're an emerging filmmaker.
No, absolutely. And so it's been about 2 years since since we screened the film. Since this hiatus, how do you feel like this film has resonated throughout these 2 years? Do people still come up to you to talk about it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because right now there's a film festival in Toronto called the Canadian Film Fest, and it's screened there. And I think there was a panel where they're talking about ideal lengths for programming, and they said, oh well, there was this one short that was a minute long, and it's like captured everything. And so I think maybe because it was short, or it sort of people remember it. And people who've seen it who didn't know I directed it would send me little notes and saying that they just saw my film. And I
That's
think
like the best feeling, right?
Yeah,
When
it is.
people don't even know it was you.
Yeah. And it was funny because sorry, sometimes you'll hear my dogs barking.
Okay.
Sometimes there was one time that was really funny, that there was a festival, and it was the top 10 Canadian films, and Milk was on it. And so I was like, no, they didn't call me for a screener. And so there was another Canadian film called Milk that was chosen, but they played mine by accident.
Oh no.
And then someone runs on, but because it was so short, it's like they screened it in its entirety, and someone ran on the stage and said, that's the wrong Milk. And then they played the other Milk, which is like apparently an award-winning Milk, but because mine is a comedy, people remembered that and liked it. They said, oh, I think your Milk was better than that Milk. And I was like, don't do that. But,
Oh no.
but because it, I think that's funny to like have people see that, and they were in the audience, and they would tell me that they saw it by accident.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it looks like we have a question from the audience. How would you compare producing a short to shooting a single episode of an ongoing series?
Wow. So I work in television now, and there's a show called Coroner, which you'll soon find on the CW coming up. And working in television, you're actually you're not producing, but you're very aware of the budget and the amount of money that you're responsible for is like vastly different, you know? And so you're constantly thinking, your storytelling is big, but you're constantly aware of the size of the production, the size of the crew compared. These are all things that we're going to be, adjusting in this time period. But, I would have a crew of 100 and with my own productions, because there's not much money, I'd spend a lot more time prepping and making sure that everything was ready before I was ready to spend the money. I don't write for television. I see that question.
Okay.
So I don't write for television. I'm a director for hire. I'm creating my own television, but I haven't sold anything yet.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Winnie. We have all of your social media information, and if we get any additional questions, we'll let you know.
Okay, awesome.
But congratulations.
I hope you guys enjoyed milk as much this time around.
Yes, we can definitely say we enjoyed it better than the other milk. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
And congratulations on Tokens as well. For those that don't know, she actually won a Canadian Screen Award for it. So thank you so much, Winnie.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, and now it's my pleasure to welcome our feature director, Jonathan Cianfrani, for Fermented. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening. Hi.
Hi. Well, let's just dive right into it because, watching the documentary, it was just really fascinating. How long did it take you to film the entire documentary?
I think 15 days.
Really? Production. That fast?
Yeah. It was some really condensed filming that took place in California, New Jersey, Japan, and Chicago. But somehow we managed to cram it all into 15 days.
Wow.
I don't think that includes the travel. So I guess you could add, 3 or 4 more days just for traveling and getting set up. So
that's really awesome.
It was tight, but it's sometimes having, tight time frames and tight budgets kind of forces you to be more mobile and not kind of think too much about things, I don't know, it just forces you to be more flexible and creative with your resources.
No, absolutely. You couldn't tell because the amount of information that was packed into this documentary, I just felt like there was so much more extensive research being done into the film. But
well, thank you. A lot of that is just the people that we brought on board. I'm not an expert in fermentation. Even after all of this, I still have a ton of questions. But that's why we just reached out to the experts. And luckily, Ed Lee has a lot of good friends, and they were all happy to kind of participate in the film. And their incredible wealth of knowledge was really, it was research on the job practically for me. So I was learning along the way as well.
That's really cool. And you could definitely tell the camaraderie that, fermentation brings amongst people, because it was really nice to see a lot of the cooking demos shot along with a lot of the scenic shots of each country, and then leading right into the processes that each creator had.
Yeah.
What was your favorite process to shoot, or which was your the favorite scene? If
I having miso be demystified for me was pretty special. I've eaten a lot of miso in my life up to that point, but I really didn't know what it was or how it was made, where it came from. I had a vague sense of what it was, but to see how basic and simple it is with just the right conditions and the right ingredients in the right ratios can make something with so much depth was really enlightening to me. So yeah, I think just the process of making miso.
Yeah, that was a funny scene where he had to throw the miso balls to get the oxidation out.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. He's, and that's all Ed too, because he just kind of brings like a kind of just a casual, serious but comedic but also genuine kind of all around just great host, great guy too. He's doing so much right now for the restaurant industry through the Lee Initiative. All of his restaurants closed down during the pandemic, but he's been working really hard. At first, he was working hard to provide meals for the staff that had to get laid off, and he's kind of expanded that out with partnerships with different distilleries and different sponsors across the country to kind of, instead of to reallocate marketing budgets to help people who are in need of food. And so he's kind of developed this model that he's been working with other chefs around the country, his friends, to kind of export this model to use sponsors to help to provide assistance for people in need. And I encourage anybody who's listening to look up the Lee Initiative or follow Ed Lee on Instagram. He's the real deal.
Oh, absolutely. I think I saw it on his website, so we'll be sure to share that link as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Either on the bottom, or we'll share it after this Q&A.
Okay.
Were there other fermented processes that you wanted to shoot but weren't able to?
Yeah, I mean, that was the hardest part when we were in pre-production was deciding where we can go, where we can afford to go, where we want, how we want to, focus in on things, because every culture in every country around the world has their own fermentation techniques. So we could have thrown a dart at a map and found fermentation. It was a question of, where can we get the most bang for our buck? And to us, it was, California and Japan were like, there's just there's a really large, concentration of fermentation techniques around there. So, anywhere, I would have loved to have gone to West Africa or Scandinavia or, Germany, anywhere in Europe, anywhere would have been amazing. China would have been great too. So yeah, anywhere that you could throw a dart and there would be a place I'd like to, we could have gone and explored it. So
that's awesome. And it looks like we have a question from the audience. How did you establish connections with the people in the film? So I know you mentioned most of them were from Ed, but did you have any other things that you needed to reach out to? Any special?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ed was friends with a lot of the chefs, and Nancy in Japan was instrumental in connecting us with the people out there. So she was kind of our fixer, I guess. Those are her friends, and those are people who she's collaborated with before, and those are people who she has a lot of respect and admiration for. So with her help to kind of make those initial contributions, that was or connections, that's how that worked.
Okay, and that included like the soy sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. She travels around with the daughter to California sometimes. I know they were in Brooklyn. They have like a good kind of partnership going on. I think she's trying to branch out with the soy sauce and get it in more parts around the world. So
that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know the full method of how to make soy sauce, so that was really cool how to see.
Yeah.
So we had another question, but it kind of ties into one that I had as well. If you had any fermented recipes to share, the question that was on the bottom was, now that we're in this period where people are more at home and working remote, do you actually see more videos or more people trying to access like fermented recipes or, showing pickled videos, things like that?
I think so. Absolutely. I have a friend who put up a pizza dough recipe that I've been basically, once I finally got my hands on some instant yeast, I was able to, do as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely happening. A lot. I like to browse YouTube's Bon Appetit, Food 52. They're all at home, kind of doing their own ferments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely right along with like everyone's baking bread. I think people are fermenting as well. So
yeah, there's been a lot of banana breads and sourdough bread.
Yeah.
I see a lot of pics. A lot of my text threads have just become food threads where people would share their food pictures.
Basically, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, a good side tip for people looking for yeast, because I know it's hard to find in stores. My brother-in-law went to the local donut shop and asked if he could buy some off of them, and they nicely shared it for free. So,
oh wow!
So for those that are kind of looking for that extra help.
Great, awesome.
And where can people purchase or watch Fermented? Actually, before I ask that question, I actually want to go back to another comment. Somebody was mentioning Fermented Part 2. Like you said, there's so many more avenues that you can and processes that you can film. Yeah. And the great thing about the way that you structured your film was that you had all these subchapters. So it really could just keep going on forever.
I would love that. I don't know everything is kind of up in the air right now. With travel, with just social distancing. I think we could continue forever if we could find the right sponsorship or somebody to fund the film part 2. But I think things need to go back to, or we need to figure out how to move forward first. But in the meantime, we can all just be doing it in our homes, and there's no lack of information online that we can find to kind of do it ourselves. So
absolutely.
Hopefully someday, yeah.
That's great. And so then now back to my previous question. For those that, since we can't get part 2, how can we Jones on more part 1?
Amazon Prime is the best way to go. It's free there. And I see there's a question, fish sauce. We did do a fish sauce scene. It got cut because, why did it get cut? We had to trim time down. We filmed fish sauce and nuka-zuke, which is you take I think bran, and you bran and salt and red pepper flakes, and you pack it in with whole fish, and then you put a lid on it, and then you put stones on top of it, and then you let that just kind of sit and ferment for a while and take it out, and it's just this kind of salty snack. That's we have that scene. I think that scene might be online, or it might. I should look for it, because I think we posted a couple of scenes that didn't make the cut. There was another recipe with Stuart Brioza. There was the nuka-zuke scene, and then there was a whole other thing where we went to a ryokan where this chef cooked a meal for Edward, and kind of just a profile on him and this really beautiful ryokan in Natto. So I'll try and find that, and maybe I can send the link if there's any place to put it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please do.
I have not tried fermented shark. I would be interested in trying it, but only in the right circumstances. I think I would probably have to be in Iceland with the right people. I don't know if I would want to open up a jar of that in my apartment.
And I saw like a split second shot of Natto.
Yeah.
Where did you have that in the film as well?
Yes. Yes. Sorry, that was another scene that got cut. Yeah.
Okay.
Ed just kind of did a little ode to Natto. I don't know if that ever got cut or if we just kind of decided not to include that before it even got cut. So
yeah,
there's a bunch of stuff on the cutting room floor. Some of it is online somewhere, and some of it just will never be seen.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's for if it was good, if it was good enough to be in the film, it would be in the film. So there were reasons that it wasn't there. So you're not missing much in some cases.
Well, so it looks like we have some of your social media information, and we'll be posting it online. Okay. I know you are in the midst of cultivating your newborn. Yeah. So I know you have to get off pretty soon, but thank you so much for taking the time.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I have a question. Who are we talking to? Because I can't see who's there. Can they see me? Or
I'm sorry, it's on YouTube Live.
Oh.
Yes. So
okay. This is cool. So this is how you guys are going to move forward with the festival this year.
Yes, we are going to. So HAAPIFEST 2020 actually starts next week, and we're kind of testing out the different platform options, or the way that we're switching back to Q&As and film right now. So thank you for also being a guinea pig for us.
Absolutely. You guys were really great to me last year. Was it last year or was it 2 years ago? Was it last year?
Yes,
it was a while ago.
No, 2018. Yeah, so wow. 2 years ago.
Yeah, I had a great experience with you guys.
Thank you.
Great team, and I wish you guys the best this year. I know it's a challenging year, but it seems like you're coming up with creative solutions to get people the films that they want to see. So
no, thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely a first for us, but like all of us, we're kind of just going with the flow. So we had not to say, but I mean, like, we had a little bit more notice than others since we were going to be in June. So we decided early on that we were going to try to switch virtual, just in anticipation, in anticipating the worst case scenario. So we're really glad, though, to see that a lot of film festivals are picking up with the same momentum, and so they're still able to get all of their films out there and not have to, put onto hold too much. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. We got to find solutions, creative solutions to move forward. And you guys are doing it. So
thank you so much.
Good luck, and I look forward to seeing some of the films this year.
Absolutely, the films are going to be worldwide, so it's available for everybody. So
and through HAAPIFEST, or how will people be able to screen the films? Through the website, or?
Yeah, so it'll be through Eventive, just like with Fermented, how we showed it tonight. They'll just log into Eventive, register, reserve their ticket, and then they'll be able to unlock the live stream. So just like tonight, they'll be able to go in, see the films, and then when we have Q&As, jump in.
Cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
All right. Well, any other questions, or?
No, we are so grateful to have you. And if we do have any other questions, we'll be sure to send it your way. But thank you so much, and have a good evening.
All right. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the film.